been building this up all year, but just like last year's kids, when you saw what is my teaching method, I show you how to do the bloody thing. It's not that hard. It's just there's a lot more rules and there's a lot more that's assumed knowledge. So the first step of quadratic equations is dealing with a quadratic equation that is just one number. So equation in the form x squared is equal to something. An equation is an expression with variables and an equal sign. Because of this, our literal first test, you are able to solve something like this. Is there any squared here in this 2x plus 3? You could solve that for me. What would my first step be? How would I get rid of the plus 3? So it's going to be 2x equals 4. How do I get rid of the times by 2? So it's going to be 2. You can solve that, okay? A quadratic equation is an equation where the variable, usually x, but it doesn't have to be, is squared. So for example, x squared plus 2 is equal to 6. Get that one down just to have somewhere stated what does a quadratic equation look like. A quadratic equation is any one where the variable is squared. Squared. If it's cubed, it's called something else. If it's to the power of 4, it's called something else. So quadratic only to the power of 2. All right, quadratic equations are tricky because there's often more than one answer because the variable is squared. For example, if I want to solve x squared is equal to 9, what number do I times by itself to get 9? 3 is true, but is that the only answer? Minus 3, because we had this discussion earlier. Minus 3 is also true. Therefore, we write if x squared is equal to 9, x is going to be plus or minus 3. Okay? To get that example down, I'd like that down for impact so that you suddenly, okay, we are not talking about one answer anymore. We're talking about multiple. Why does that occur? Because if I times a negative number by a negative number, what's the answer going to be? Positive. And if I times a positive number by a positive number, what do I get? Positive again. That's why there's 2. There's something missing there. It's simply x squared equals k. The most basic quadratic equation is simply x squared is equal to k. This formula should go on your cheat sheet. It lets you deal with the 3 situations you're going to encounter if something is in that form. This should go on your cheat sheet and notes. Right now it looks ridiculous, but if I look here, this says if my equation is x squared is equal to k, k represents something. I have 3 possible ways to deal with it. If k is a number more than 0, your answer is going to be plus or minus the square root of what k was. That's why, can you see how that was our answer to x squared is equal to 9? What is the square root of 9? 3. And we wrote plus or minus 3. If the number k is 0, your answer is just 0. Don't even do any working out. If you have x squared is equal to nothing, x is going to be nothing. The only weird one is this. If the number k is negative, if it's less than 0, you'll immediately write there are no real solutions. You don't need to, some people that are looking to do spec maths in the future, unfortunately, there will be some solutions for you. But for methods maths and year 10, if it's x squared is equal to a negative number, you write no real solutions. Because at our level of maths, we can't find the square root of a negative number. Okay? So that box there, that's literally the first thing that should go on your cheat sheet. That box there, and I'll demo how those three scenarios work. Yeah. A couple of minutes to get that box. You didn't have a cheat sheet? Well, what did you do with it?
Oh, I had one.
Where is it?
I didn't bring the book. Got the wrong book.
Back up on Monday. Do you know what foil means?
Yes.
What is
that?
Long time, isn't it? Wasn't the first thing. Alright, I'll keep the box there, but I'll demo this. Alright, you're telling Mr. T you're psycho because this question isn't x squared is equal to a number. We can make it look like that. Can I get rid of take 4? What's the opposite of take 4? Add 4. So this will become x squared is equal to 6. So now it looks like x squared is equal to k. What is my k here? My k is 6. Is my k more than 0? So which of the possible three options is it? It's the top one. So I'm literally going to write x is going to be plus or minus square root 6. If in your calculator you put the square root of 6 in and it's just a decimal, you don't cancel it down. You leave it as root 6. If it said square root of 9, can it go down a bit further? Is there a number I can times by itself to get 9? So you cancel it down. There's no cancelling down root 6. So that's your first example. Next one. You tell me, what steps will I take in this one to make it look like x squared is equal to k? It doesn't. There's freaking 3 things there. What could I do to make this x squared is equal to k? Yep. Good. Negative 3x squared is equal to, what's 15 take 6? 9. What is that negative 3 doing to x squared? Timesing. What is the opposite of timesing by negative 3? Divide by negative 3. Divide by negative 3. So this is going to be x squared is equal to, what's 9 divided by negative 3? Negative 3. Oh! Which option is it in the box? Is it k is equal to 0? Is it k is more than 0? Or is it k is less than 0? So you immediately write k, x, no real solutions. Okay? Because what that's trying to do, if you wanted to get rid of this squared, what are you trying to do? You would square root. For our level of maths and methods in year 12, we can't deal with square root of negative numbers. If you do spec, you do all that business. Okay? We stop at this point. No real solutions if I'm trying to find the square root of a negative. Last option here. Oh, there's another one. It doesn't look like what I'm trying to teach you. Okay? It doesn't, but it is. Because what does a bracket do? Does a bracket group things together? Right? So my x is actually, this is my x here. My x is x take 3. What's the opposite of squaring something? Square root. So what's the square root of 16? But think, now we're at year 10 level, it's not just going to be 4. It's going to be what? Yes. So x take 3 is equal to plus or minus 16. Oh, sorry. Plus or minus, yeah, you got me. Plus or minus 4. Not done yet because I have a little negative 3 hanging off of there. What's the opposite of taking 3 from something? Adding it to the other one. So it's going to be x is equal to 3 plus or minus 4. You've never seen maths like this before.
Oh.
And because I know what 3 is and I know what 4 is, I can tell you what the answers are. What's 3 plus 4? Or what's 3 take 4?
1. Huh.
If you don't write the 7 or negative 1, you'll lose a mark. Okay? I'm not going to accept it just written like that. That is a true statement. But if, like, see if there was a square root 3 there, you can't work that out. But if they're literally plain numbers, work it out. Okay? Get that example down. I want to do one more complex one, and then I'll stop there. I'll teach the second thing. Null factor law is quite short. The last one I want to show, because it shows you leaving a square root. Is this situation similar to C above? Does it look the same? What's the opposite of squaring something? Square root. But is there a nice square root of 5? No. So you're going to write plus or minus root of 5. What's the opposite of taking 1 from the left-hand side? Adding it. So x is going to be 1 plus or minus root 5. I can leave that, because is the root of 5 a nice number? No. So I can't do this convenient 7 or negative 1. This one I can leave. Okay? So can I give you a couple of minutes to get that final example? That's the end of the first lesson.